Hello and welcome to Rory On Air. On this edition, I'm going to show you what equipment I use to record the intercom and ATC audio in the aeroplane. Well, hello and welcome to a special edition of Rory On Air. Special because there's no flying involved. I should probably rename it Rory on a Chair because we're indoors today. It's been a bit grey, overcast, windy, bit wet today. In fact, I've not been able to fly for about 5 weeks, which is frustrating, but I guess that's the nature of the beast at this time of year. So, following loads of questions from you guys on YouTube and on my Facebook page, Instagram and Twitter, etc., about various aspects of my YouTube channel and how I do certain things, I thought it would be useful to maybe do a little mini series over the winter of some sort of ground-based stuff, answering some of your questions. And the question that's come up more often than any of the others, and therefore the one that I'm going to answer first of all today, is about recording intercom audio in the aeroplane. So there's only a few bits and pieces that you need to be able to do this, and there are several methods, and we'll come into those a little bit later on. But first of all, I'm going to show you how I go about doing it. So the first thing is that you need to split the output audio from your aircraft's panel into two so that you can have one for your headset and one for the recorder. So here's your normal two GA plugs for the mic and for the audio. This is the splitter that I have. That goes into the panel instead of that, and then you plug your headset into there like that, and that goes into the panel. So that's what you plug into your aeroplane instead, leaving you this little guy to take a feed of your audio. So we'll just take that out of the equation for the moment. That's in your panel, that goes off to your headset. This needs extending, so then you plug in another cable into there with a 1/4" jack on one end and a 3.5mm mini jack on this end. Now, the first thing I tried was I bought this Sony recorder and I thought, right, okay, audio input in there, away you go. But sadly, because the output level from most aeroplanes is quite loud, you'll find that it is too loud when it goes into the recorder, and there's no way of adjusting the input volume level on these little Sony dictaphone type things. So then I went off and bought this, which is a Zoom H1. It's a little handy recording device. It records in MP3 and in WAV. You can set the audio input level, which is the key reason why I wanted it. And it also has two little stereo mics on the top here. So if you wanted to record an interview with somebody, or you just wanted to record a lesson with your instructor doing a bit of ground school or something, you could hit record on that, leave it on the desk, and away you go. And it wouldn't be the best quality audio ever, but it would be certainly good enough for you to be able to review the lesson again afterwards. So I've got this recorder and I plug the sound into there, and I can adjust the input level, but I still found it was far too loud and it sounded really crunchy, over compressed, it was clipping, it was distorted, it was just awful. As are some of the audio you can hear on various YouTube videos are like that, and I think it's because people have come up against the same problem. So the solution I found is this little tiny little box. It's less than an inch by just over an inch in old money, and it's called a 40 decibel pad. It just reduces the level from the input to the output by 40 decibels, which is quite a big jump in level. And I found this to solve the problem. You can pick these up for about £8 on eBay. That's where I got this one from. To be honest, it looks like it's a homemade job. The label looks a little bit homemade. So you plug your input from the aircraft into the bottom of that. Need another little cable there to bridge between the output of your pad into the input of your audio recording device. And I found that since I've introduced this into the equation, it sounds pretty good. What you've heard on all my videos to date has been using this method. So if you're happy hearing it like that, then I am too. This is the way I use to do it. The battery life on this records with a single AA battery, which is in the back of it here, records for about 12 to 13 hours I've found, so it's always worth carrying spare batteries with you. So what else? The other methods that you can use to record your audio. Well, the first one that I know people do is they plug an audio cable from GoPro into their cameras. This is assuming you're using GoPro cameras and you're even wanting to record video at all. But if you are recording with handy cams or action cameras like the GoPro, a lot of them will have either sold at the time or aftermarket cables that you can buy to plug into them, which then allow you to feed in something from a 3.5 mini jack. So that's worth looking for if that's something you're interested in. The advantage is that the video and the pictures are already synced up. At the moment I have to do 3 claps when I get in the airplane. I have to try to remember to do it, and I often forget, and then I end up with a nightmare trying to sync up 3 or 4 tracks of video plus the audio from this. Believe you me, that takes me ages. That's why the videos take so long to make, in part. The disadvantage being that GoPro batteries aren't brilliant. They don't last forever. I find they go for about an hour and 20 minutes and then they die. So that's about enough for most of the flights that I do, as long as I've got a spare set to change when I get to the destination. Otherwise, I have to turn them on and off mid-flight, like I did when I went to Fife for lunch with Lizzie that time. Video available if you haven't seen it yet. So that's one method. The advantage of doing it in an outboard recorder is obviously you've got a little bit more control over the levels. You can see that it's recording. You've got a count up timer. The time it'll record for is longer than the GoPro, so you can set it before you even start the engine and don't worry about it at all. Whereas with this, I kind of tend to find that it's best to leave it until just before I'm about to take off. It's one of the last things I do, is to check the cameras are rolling, just as a method of making sure that everything's working correctly. Method number 3 is a little bit more of a sort of Heath Robinson approach, but it does work. You can get a little lapel mic. These are little lapel mics, one I've got here. They're often called lavalier or lav mics. You can pick one up, a decent quality one, online for maybe 30 or 40 pounds. I'll send you a link to this one that I'm using here. And what you can do is get one of those and just literally put the microphone without the clip inside your headphone ear cup. Stick the cans on, away you go. Everything you say, or your passenger says, or your instructor says, or you hear ATC wise in your headphones, is then recorded by the mic that's sat right next to the little loudspeaker in your headset. So that works okay, and you can either record that into a recorder like this, or you can record it straight into your smartphone, which is actually what I'm doing here at the moment. So that's probably the easiest method, and if you're just doing this because you want to record lessons with your instructor to be able to listen back to them afterwards and make some notes, that's probably the quickest, cheapest, simplest way of doing it. I prefer this method because I find it's a bit more reliable and I've got a bit more control over it. The recording direct into the GoPro method is also perfectly good, and I know other pilots who do that as well. So that's basically it for this episode. I hope this was useful. If you've got any other questions, do leave me a comment below. Get in touch with me on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram as well, facebook.com/Rory On Air, and I'm just at Rory Ausgerry on Instagram and Twitter. Oh, and one other thing, I've got these baseball caps, Rory On Air baseball caps, and it is of course the run up to Christmas, so if you'd like to get yourself one, a little bit of red, white and black on them, they're nicely made, good quality caps with my logo embroidered on the front of them. I've also got embroidered tops and t-shirts, polo shirts, stuff like that as well. So if you'd like one of those, get in touch with me, leave me a comment, send me a message on Facebook, on the Rory On Air Facebook page is the best way to get in touch, and I can hook you up before Christmas, all things being equal. Well, that's pretty much it. Don't forget to check out some of the other videos here on the Rory On Air YouTube channel, and until next time, thanks for watching. Cheerio.